Greetings, mathematicians. Today we're looking at an application of a quadratic equation. We have here the shape of a right triangle, and in the information here we are told that the hypotenuse of this right triangle is 2.5 miles, and we're also told that one leg of the right triangle is 1/2 mile or 0.5 miles shorter than the other leg. So x is the length of this leg, x minus 0.5 is the length of this leg, and 2.5 miles is the length of the hypotenuse. So we are going to be using Pythagorean Theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we're going to follow that format, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, not plus but equals, and c, of course, the length of the hypotenuse here. So let's go ahead and call the x minus 0.5, we'll call that a. So in parentheses, x minus 0.5 squared plus, that means our b value would be x, so x squared, and we have here our c value 2.5, so 2.5 squared. This x minus 0.5 squared is actually a quadratic, a perfect square trinomial. It will be quadratic when we factor this out. X minus 0.5, let's write that at the top. X minus 0.5 squared is really the same thing as x minus 0.5 times x minus 0.5. So x times x would give us our x squared. X times a negative 0.5 gives us negative 0.5x. Negative 0.5 times x gives us another negative 0.5x, and negative 0.5 times negative 0.5 is going to give us a positive plus 0.25. And so when we combine our two like terms here, negative 0.5x and another negative 0.5x combine to negative 1x. So what we really have, and I'll write that over here, is x squared minus x plus 0.25. And in addition to that, we have x squared, and it's equal to 2.5 squared, which is 6.25. So this x minus 0.5 squared, again, is a perfect square trinomial. So basically, the first term and the last term are going to be perfect squared. X squared, x times x is x squared. Negative 0.5 times negative 0.5 gives us positive 0.25. And the square root of the first term here and the square root of the last term, which is x and negative 0.5, when I multiply those two by the product of these two times negative 2, I get negative 1x. So now let's go ahead and start solving this equation for 0. I have like terms, x squared and another x squared. That's 2x squared minus x plus 0.25, don't forget the plus sign, equals 6.25. And to get this, now I can actually subtract the 6.25 from both sides. So when I do that, I get 2x squared minus x minus 6, because when I subtract 6.25 from a positive 0.25, I get negative 6, and it's equal to 0. So now I have a quadratic that is factorable. Because the a value is not 1, I am going to be doing the AC method with factoring by grouping. So I need two numbers. Well, let's write our a, b, and c value. Our a value is 2, our b value is negative 1, and our c value is negative 6. AC, the product, is going to be negative 12. And let me go and put AC equals, that's the product. I need two numbers that multiply to give me negative 12, but when I add them, give me negative 1. Those two numbers would be negative 4 and positive 3. So 3 and negative 4 are the two numbers. These are the two numbers that are going to help me split this middle term in half, and that's I'm going to write that up here. 2x squared plus 3x minus 4x minus 6 equals 0, and now I can continue with factoring by grouping. I'm going to factor by group the first set here, where the GCF is x. X gets factored out. What's left is 2x plus 3 for the first group. The second group, I'm going to factor out a GCF of negative 2, so I write minus 2, and what's left is 2x plus 3. Negative 2 times 2x gives me negative 4x. Negative 2 times positive 3 gives me negative 6. And the most important part, set the equation equal to 0. So now this binomial has a common factor of 2x plus 3. So 2x plus 3 is going to get factored out. And in the other parentheses is what's left, x minus 2, set that equal to 0. Now that my factors are set equal to 0, I can write my solutions down. The solution for the first factor is going to be x equals negative 3 over 2. And that's the solution, so I'm going to put that in a box. The solution for my second factor is going to be x equals 2. I put that in a box as well. Now, even though these two solutions do make all of this algebra true, only one of these values makes sense in the original word problem, and that would be x equals 2, because x equals 2 miles makes sense. X equals negative 3/2 miles does not make sense. So going back to the original problem here, x would be well, I'll just write the triangle again on this side. So there's my right triangle. This length was x, so now I know that's 2 miles. I already knew the hypotenuse was 2.5 miles, and this leg length was the value of x minus 0.5, so it's 1.5 miles. And that's how we solve example number 5.